start within no time. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims. By making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and without detachment from material benefit, that is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Prisket, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so these words here, these should be familiar. Shrinvata, Nityam, Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya, what is it? Shrinvata, Vata, Krishna, right? These are like the verses that we chant in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam purifies the heart of the sincere devotee, the sincere hearer, and the sincere chanter. And there's a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 8th chapter. It's text 7 by Srila Prabhupada. And so what he's saying there is that was it Saivam Pumsa Eva Bajak Evam Sadguru Eva Bagachet Strotium Pani, right? It's imperative that one accepts a bona fide spiritual master, not like a pseudo non-devotee who's just interested in material attachment, maintaining the establishment, not interested in actual self-realization for himself or for his hearer by chanting Srimad Bhagavatam. But that one must accept one who's situated in Brahmana Nishtam, someone who's actually situated in Brahma, who comes in the disciplic succession from Brahmaji. So Brahmaji, he's speaking now to Narada. He's advising, he was advising Narada to spread this message of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the situation of the universal creation and the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the situation of the living being within matter. And so there's a couple of classes that I listened to. Another one was Bhakti True Swami. So he's saying basically one has to come to the conclusion of the understanding that there's actually no material enjoyment in the material world. So basically we can come to Krishna consciousness and within the mind still be attached to material enjoyment, such as he used the example of someone is accustomed to taking drugs. So he might give up drugs externally, but within one's mind, if one still thinks, oh, taking drugs is very nice. And he says eventually there's a good chance that they'll fall down if they're still dwelling on it. So those who, the yogis who withdraw their senses and organs of action, but within whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So Bhakti True was speaking like that. And then what Prabhupada was saying is that nowadays everyone is a speculator. And he used Darwin's example. 150 years ago, Darwin wrote a letter to his friend stating, yeah, actually it was all speculation, all this evolution. Man came from the simian races, from monkeys, our ancestors. So it was basically all speculation. Or they got some ideas about people, they were primitive. The civilization were primitive and lived in caves and were animal skins, right? And was just learning to harness fire, right? And so, but actually during that period of time, there are certain things. There was a video that I saw, and I think it was by devotees because they were saying to listen to the Vedas, and they're saying we're lied to about everything, including what we eat. Everything is actually a lie, and they're saying that specific time periods don't match up. Some of these persons within history, that history has been completely rewritten. Some of these people didn't exist, or they didn't exist within the time frame of what they are accredited to have, right? Or the time frame of so-called dinosaurs and prehistoric primitive men. The time frame doesn't add up because there's a Vedic civilization that was very, very intelligent, very, very progressive society, persons who controlled their senses and engaged in positive welfare work for the benefit of the whole world, right? And that the specific time frames don't match up. So Prabhupada was saying, first they say there's some chunk, and then by accident, there's some explosion. He says, but we don't see anything by accident. There's some chunk, some explosion. Now all the universes that's structured and life is manifested in a certain way, right? So many varieties, 8,400,000 species, and they're all acting perfectly according to their natures. So how can this just happen just by accident, just from some chunk, from some explosion? So Prabhupada was saying, first of all, where did the explosion come from? So they're also Jai Gaurani Jai Ki Jai. So Krishna was saying, Prabhupada was saying that Krishna is a person, he's just like us. He's an unlimited person, but as a person, face to face, he said Krishna is enjoying in Krishna Loka, but he's manifesting the material universes so perfectly that just by his plenary potencies, he's maintaining the entire cosmos, but he's still enjoying with Radha Rani. Is not so much concerned. So this is the perfect person. His enjoyment isn't interrupted, right? So so he's saying it's all some speculation. Perhaps, maybe, Darwin's theory of evolution is all manufactured. It's all speculation. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not manufactured speculation, but this is actual real fact. So did Maharaj want to make any statements or comments on these verses or anything? Or
yeah, so this is Parikshit Maharaj making a statement, and even though he's only going to hear for 7 days, but the other people will be living longer, those who will continue to live, but still he's giving the advice that nityam, regularly and always, that they should hear the Bhagavatam regularly and always, not just 7 days. So that's the problem, is that people want to get things cheap. They want to get God cheap without being qualified. If someone wants the greatest thing, but he's not willing to pay anything, he's not willing to pay any price. So then you wonder, why does he think this? Why should he get the Supreme Personality of Godhead so easily? Why should he be? You can't even get an ordinary person so easily. If you say the Queen of England should appear before me, you can't order that even. That has to come by one's qualification. And qualifications are set by the Lord himself. He's the one who gives the criterion. What are the prerequisites? Even if you're going to enter a big university, you can't just enter of your own accord and say, now I'm in the university, I'm taking. You have to prove yourself that you are warranted. You have the qualifications. And then if you act humbly, then you can get some knowledge or get something. So they want to see God cheaply. People say, can you show me God? What do they expect? They expect to see God? What are they doing so that God will want to reveal himself to them? Just so they can, their idea is just to mimic or just to criticize the devotees and criticize the whole culture. So this is not the way to understand God. understand the absolute truth, you have to be on the same level as God is willing. He's trusting you that you'll handle him nicely. Then you have to trust him. He's trusting you, you have to trust him. And this kind of cooperation between the Lord and the devotee, that's what makes it so great. And just the fact that so many people don't accept him, that doesn't make it any less valuable. He's still valuable. Like he's more valuable. You can see God is not so easily that you can't just grab him. He has to be willing to reveal himself. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavita. Udhoyam navijanati lokamam majam avayam. He doesn't reveal himself to the ordinary foolish people who don't have any faith, who don't render any service. They don't even want to go to the spiritual world and do what they do there. If they're told you have to go to the spiritual world, you have to serve the Lord the whole time, forever. It's ridiculous. They have no intention of serving anyone forever. They're thinking they're just an illusion. They have no idea what the future holds. So then they say there's no future. There's no life after death. Just enjoy life now. Get what you can while you've got the opportunity. But this is like the animals. The animals cannot comprehend life after death. They can't think, now I'm going to have a different body. So this present civilization, as Prabhupada many times has kindly demonstrated, shown us, is actually an animal civilization. People are living lower than the animals. And we have to hear this, although it may be difficult for us to hear. We may become disturbed. Why do they have to make it so low? We're not giving any credit to these big scientists, the big philosophers, the big theorists. How can you not give any credit? All of our discoveries. But even if we try to give as much credit as we can, how about giving credit to God himself? He created the sun. That we can't go even near the sun. If they say they know so much about all these planets, but when it comes time for proof, they don't have any proof.
Right, very nice. Yeah, that's the thing Prabhupada was saying and what Bhakta True was saying. So we have to become unattached from everything material. So that's the qualification to be actually observed in Brahmana Nishtam, be observed in Brahman. Know what is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And by controlling the senses, following the instruction of the spiritual master, approaching the spiritual master, surrendering him, and inquiring submissively, saying even if this disciple, he knows the subject matter, he still needs to inquire submissively from the spiritual master in order for the spiritual master to clarify and the disciple thoroughly understand the subject matter like that. So relevant inquiries and by devotional service. So that would be very nice actually to serve the Lord actually forever and ever and ever for eternity. But if you're materially attached, right, and there's nothing to be really attached to through 8,400,000 species of life of transmigration or forgetfulness, right? So that must be bliss. So I go, okay, stay in the material world. I won't remember. But we see all the little lower species, the spiders, and they get squashed really easy, or they make their web to catch another insect in it so that they can, one living entity is food for another. So by maintaining material attachments, actually really suffering, it's not enjoyment. And the worst part of it is one does not go back to Godhead, but he stays in the material world and continues to suffer. And everything in the material world, especially right now, it's all adverse karmic activity. There's nothing very good about. We're even talking about how everything is a combination of the three modes of material nature. But even then, anything that's actually really situated in the mode of goodness that's mixed in with it, it's also tainted. It's already tainted with insecticides or GMOs. It's already compromised. So even the modes of goodness and all the mixed modes are not pure. So that's the danger in the material world, So so many different atrocities take place, but this is all due to the sinful karmic reactions of the society due to maintaining animal slaughter. So that's another one of the big lies. That you have to eat meat to be healthy. Right. And then what do? They fry their eggs in the pork fat from the bacon and the sausage. Right. And so, all this stuff isn't really good for you, all this grease and cholesterol. And, we have, I was saying that within the form of milk and yogurt and cheese and curd and ghee, is that we're enjoying the blood of the animal, the fat from the blood of the animal, but in the proper way. We're not killing the animal necessarily just for the satisfaction of our tongue, but it's the authorized prescribed way that Krishna has set it up in nature. As the cow is a very, we had quite a lot of discussions on the cow and the bull in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about Maharaj Persket chastising Kali and the position of the bull and the position of the cow. So they're very, very auspicious animals. I believe they're situated in the mode of goodness. I believe lions are situated in the mode of passion. And then monkeys, they're situated in the mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada is saying this Darwin theory. They want to say our ancestors were the monkeys, but the monkeys are situated in the mode of ignorance. So it says, okay, be my guest. You're the descendants of the mode of ignorance, right? No wonder it's all speculation. Everything is nothing but problems. You don't really know the real problems of life. Everything is just some temporary benefit, some patchwork, and even then, it's only really based on the favor of some politicians and lawmakers who want the law and the situation in their favor, so they can make their crummy idea. They'll make their profit off of their crummy idea, and so that's really pretty much the situation in the material world, that the politicians, they're bought, and the lawmakers, they're bought. I don't know what kind of law this is, but they actually passed a law that stated that Whole Foods has to carry GMO products on their shelves. Right? They can have non-GMO products, but Whole Foods is telling me, well, there's no real guarantees unless it specifically says it's GMO free 100% organic. He said there's no real guarantees whether or not they're, their 365 products, like their wheat or whatever, is actually really GMO free, and completely 100% organic. But yeah, they said that the government. So what kind of law is that? How do you get the government to make some health food store actually carry the things in it that they don't want to have? I guess the same thing was the glyphosate or the Roundup. Everybody knows that it's dangerous pesticide, but the stores are being forced to carry it. Like Home Depot, what do you call it? Home improvement centers or the hardware stores that carry insecticides, the garden departments. They're actually required by law to carry that product in their store like that. So what kind of law is that? That doesn't make sense, you know. Right now, our medications that the doctors give us are horrendously horrible, right? You know, or pass law that GMO modified organisms will be in the food. You know, I guess they use it for additives. It's cheaper or less expensive. I believe we were discussing this. So everything in the material world isn't what it seems to be. There's actually real no enjoyment in the material world. You know, if we're maintaining attachments within the mind, you know, psychological attachments. Actually, it states, he who restrains the senses and organs of action, but within whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So it was also stating that one should be like the tortoise, how the tortoise, he withdraws his senses from within the shell, you know, or when he was engaged in devotional service and on the proper platform, stated in Bhagavad Gita how it's like a lotus leaf situated in water. It actually doesn't become wet. You know, the lotus flowers has a waxy surface, so the water will just automatically bead off like that. So it's situated within the water, but it's not wet. So situated within the material world, engaging in both service, but not being affected by the adverse sinful reactions of the age of Kali or the material world. Jai Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, but being tightly fixed at the shelter, the lotus feet of our spiritual master, the lotus feet of the deity of Gaur Nitai, then we're sheltered. You know, take only Krishna Prasad. You know, refrain from four karmically harmful, sinful activities such as meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. But the dues are here, Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, and this cleanses the heart and purifies the heart of the sincere devotee, the sincere hearers and chanters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see, and what else was there Prabhupada was speaking about? Spoke about creation, evolution. So these things are just all manufactured. They're all just a bunch of pack of lies, right? They don't actually really know. They have some sort of observation. But all these things, Brahma, in the previous chapter, he was advising Narada Muni to explain Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the universal position, the actual specific position of the universe, you know, and how it's being maintained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, you know, everything is there. The names of the planets are there. The math is there. How far away the sun is from the Earth. It corresponds with modern science. You know, so why doesn't modern science just accept everything from Surya Siddhanta, the Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam? You know, why so much speculation by observation? You know, if you're saying blind following, Prabhupada was saying, you know, first of all, the scientists say there's an explosion. And the rascals, because they're also rascals, they just accept, oh, there was just some explosion. But they don't inquire, they don't question, right? Because they're also rascals. So then they just blindly accept it. So these are false conceptions of life. And it's another set of illusions, a whole network of desires and illusions, right? That are reinforcing the bodily concept of life. That's taking our attention and our concentration more and more away from aham brahmasmi and leading us to aham brahmeti, right? So aham brahmeti means identification with the body. But aham brahmasmi said, I am not the material body, I'm spiritual soul, I'm part and parcel of Krishna, I'm a servant of Krishna, meant for service with Krishna. So service to Krishna is actually our only real way to actually really be happy, actual real enjoyment. Because everything else it's not real enjoyment. You know, it's just furthering the suffering condition. But there's 5 relationships, there's servitude, neutrality, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love, right? So we're serving with Krishna and participating with Krishna in his pastimes, in his Leela, right? But first, what Prabhupada was saying, what Maharaj was just now saying, is that Krishna is putting the devotee in his confident, right? So to handle Krishna nicely, to respect the spiritual master, the devotees nicely, not to commit Guru aparad or Vaishnava aparad, especially not commit, offenses against the Supreme Lord, but how to be humble, submissive, self-controlled, to apply the teachings as we are hearing it, and inviting the Lord to is in these verses, what they're actually saying is the Lord, within a very short period of time, will make his appearance within the lotus seat of the heart of the sincere devotee who is seriously hears Srimad Bhagavatam daily, with attention. So that's really the Prabhupada saying is to hear, but make a show of hearing, but not really hearing. Like, oh, I'm tired, let me take some rest, or thinking about one's family or business activities. That's not hearing. When I must hear the subject matter as it's being spoken, with attention, and then that will act on the heart. That's actual real hearing. And then to act on the on what we have heard. So that's also hearing, or proper hearing is actually to act in that capacity. So what they're saying, that pseudo non-devotee wants to see the Lord directly, but he doesn't want to follow the rules or regulations, and actually maybe even criticize the devotees of the process. So that's not the process of gaining favor from the Supreme Lord, be able to see the Supreme Lord. But the devotees, they just want to engage in devotional service. We know that the Lord will make his appearance, but the whole idea, the whole goal isn't for the Lord to come to appear before us, right? Or even don't want anything material, or even reluctant to actually even go to, to be in a humble position. And we know we'll go to the spiritual world, right? But all we want to do is just engage in devotional service, unmotivated, uninterrupted, without any motivation. So were there any questions or comments on these verses? Or you have a question or comment?
I was wondering, what's the difference between this Bhagavan Vishate Hridi and the statements that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita about being in the heart of everyone?
Oh yeah. Krishna states that being within the heart of every living being. Krishna says, I, with the shining sword of knowledge, remove all of the ignorance born of doubt and delusion, right, from the heart of the sincere devotee. Prabhupada was also talking about this in his lecture, that Krishna, he was speaking to Arjuna that some 40 millions of years ago, Krishna spoke the imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivishwan. And Vivishwan instructed to Manu. Manu instructed it to Ishvaku, the father of mankind. So he was asking about this. Well, this was, he was saying that we're equal in cousin brothers, equal in age. How is it that you spoke this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god some 40 million years ago? And Krishna is saying that Arjuna was also there in the same capacity, but in a different capacity. So Krishna doesn't change his bodies. He remembers this. He remembers everything. He doesn't change a body. The living entity changes their bodies. So we don't remember these past lives or these past experiences. But there's a lot of verses where Krishna is within the heart, but the shining lamp of knowledge destroys all the darkness within the heart of the sincere devotee. that the yogis, they sit with half closed eyes and stare at the tip of the nose and control the breathing process, the pranayama, to enter into neutrality, and are meditating to see the Paramatma within the heart. So Lord in his form is Paramatma, holding club, wheel of a chariot, conch shell, and lotus flower, standing on the whirl of the heart of the devotee. He's dressed in yellow shining garments and has a garland flower all the way down to his feet, and garland of tulsis and bracelets and rings and jewelry like that. Freshly oiled hair. And that's another feature. It's very prominent. Very fresh youth, blooming youth, freshly oiled hair. Oh, does that answer your question? Was that you actually wanted to know about the conclusive evidence that Krishna is within the heart of the devotee, according to Bhagavad Gita? Or
here Krishna says that there's a condition to his being in the heart.
There's a condition. Oh, the condition is to regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam.
With the right attitude and all that. So I'm just wondering, it's like, how do both of those statements coexist? What is this Krishna being in the heart after having heard properly Srimad Bhagavatam? How is that different than just everybody else?
Oh, everybody else. Yeah, well, they're not gonna, if they're religious or pious and they have some idea about God, they have some vague idea that God is everywhere, that God is in the heart, but they don't know how, that they don't know who God is, that God is omniscient, he's everywhere. So we also have the same conception, of God being a perfect person. He's Krishna. He's all expansive. He's present everywhere. At the same time, he's localized in Krishna Loka, but he knows everything everywhere by his various potencies, personally and through his various potencies. He's the perfect person. They can do this, but the conditions. There are some conditions. Is that you have to surrender. Approach Krishna's thesis, Bhagavad Gita, that he to approach the spiritual master, engage in devotional service, and inquire submissively from him. Self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And Maharaji stated this, that Krishna uses the spiritual master, for this purpose of instructing the devotees. So, what was it stated yesterday in class, that Prabhupada said that Krishna dictated every word of his books, like that. So Krishna is dictating to us. It states that Krishna is the source of our inspiration, knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness, the ability of man. So, we may not think directly that, here's Krishna speaking directly to me through my heart, but that through the intelligence that we have to do the service and the impetus that we have to do the service, right, that's actually coming from Krishna, from within. Chaita Guru, or that's the living force, like Lord Chaitanya is the Chaita is the actual living force of the soul of the soul, you might say. Is we're part and parcel in Krishna. That was another thing Prabhupada was talking about, how we're one in quality, but differentiated in quantity. So it's Chinta Beta Beta Atattva. So we're manifestations of Krishna's marginal energies, that we can come under the sway of Maya or illusion, or that we can decide to act in our natural propensity and engage in devotional service, like that. And then in that way, the living entity actually really becomes happy and joyful. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam class ki jai.